when The Secret came out.
Yes.
And when The Secret came out, I was like, I got to watch this. I started watching it. It was probably one of the biggest aha moments of my life. And the moment I'll never forget is when they talk about and show you the symbolization of that woman getting out of bed, stubbing her toe, and then her day just perpetually getting worse. Her negative thoughts, all the things. And I was like, oh my God, that's me.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Second Half Chronicles podcast. I'm your host, Meridee Olson, and my guest today, Meridee Hlokoff, is a laser therapist specializing in quitting smoking addiction recovery. And I can't wait to share her story with you. She starts off by telling us a little bit about her first half and kind of how rough that was and how she's overcome that. And in her second half, she is thriving. She's doing awesome. She does positive thinking and thought replacement all the time. And she's just a great fireball of energy. So here's Meridee. Hey, everyone. My name's Meridee Olson, and welcome to Second Half Chronicles. Thank you for joining us. I have Meridee Hlokoff here with me today. Super excited. She's got great energy. We met, we talked, we clicked, and I can't wait to have her on today.
Awesome. So I'm Meridee. I am actually the founder of multiple businesses, but my biggest passion being LaserQuit, where I help people free themselves from addiction using cold laser therapy. I am a true entrepreneur at heart. I don't know that I'd be capable of working for other people because I love my freedom, but I also really love helping people. And that's, I think, the core of who I am and my purpose for being here.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, that's so great. Well, okay. So this podcast is called Second Half Chronicles, and wanted to ask you a few things, kind of talk a little bit about your first half. So everyone who's on here kind of has a past or gone through a few things. And so I'd like you to share just a tiny bit about your first half and maybe even share some of the influences that were in your first half. You can talk about positive influences or kind of more tough influences that were throughout your first half that our listeners might be able to relate to or something like that.
Okay. So my first half was not as fantastic, I'm going to say. And I'm going to say the first half of my life was like the first 22 years-ish. I found that my mother was incredibly abusive, verbally, emotionally, you name it, physically. She was incredibly abusive. And the way that I was treated with that made it so that I'm stronger today. The first half of my life was the roughest half of my life. I definitely found that, I got married, I got divorced. I had 2 children, 15 months apart. My mom was incredibly abusive right from before I even came out because she didn't even want me. When she found out she was pregnant with me, she was actually going to get an IUD. And then when I was in my 20s, she tried to have my kids taken away from me. She accused me of things, did crazy things to me, but all of it helped me turn into who I am today. So yes, it was rough, but it definitely is not something I'm complaining about.
And this relationship, years of my relationship is very, very new. And I would have never, the confidence that you have, just the way you show yourself, I would have never known any of that had gone on prior, by the way.
Yeah, I feel like there was one of the things my mom didn't like about me is that, we sometimes are like born with something we didn't know. And I feel like one of the things that I was born with was liking myself, and not in this like conceited way, but in like your purpose here is to impact other people. So you better like yourself. And from a kid, I was just always very like spunky, and I had this big personality, and I'd walk in a room and being 3 years old, I remember walking around all sassy and my mom being like, oh God. And then this person saying to her, one of her friends saying to her, like, she is so cute. You need to put her in like acting or modeling or something. And she said to her friend, stop filling up her ego, and looked at me and said, you're not that awesome. Stop it. And I literally remember, I know. And I remember this little girl, like feeling like this little girl being like, I suck kind of feeling. But through it all, somehow I ended up holding on to liking myself. Now, the piece that pushed me through that though was, I'm going to say, as I started my second half, I started doing some work on who I wanted to be. And that's when things really shifted for me. And that's when I really started to like who I am.
So kind of going into that, then describe that like pivoting moment you feel like you moved into your second half. How did you get there? How did you pivot? Maybe
Oh my God. Okay. So I literally remember the day, if you can believe it. I don't remember the actual date of the day, but I remember the day that it happened. I was 25 years old and The Secret came out.
Yes.
And when The Secret came out, I was like, I got to watch this. I started watching it. It was probably one of the biggest aha moments of my life. And the moment I'll never forget is when they talk about and show you the symbolization of that woman getting out of bed, stubbing her toe, and then her day just perpetually getting worse. Her negative thoughts, all the things. And I was like, oh my God, that's me. Oh my God, that's me. Wow. Like I just saw myself in that woman and I saw how I was perpetuating my own misery. And I thought to myself, I don't want to be like this anymore. This isn't how I want to spend my life. I don't want to be miserable all the time. I don't want to feel like life is getting me. I don't want to feel like I'm being attacked. Though I feel like in some ways back then, yeah, I was a victim. My mom was abusive, but also where could I take personal responsibility and where could I step up? And that's when I really started to work on myself. It didn't matter about the things around me. I needed to become a more positive person first and foremost. And that's when I started trying to like replace my negative thoughts with my positive thoughts.
Right. Was that hard?
And
did you have kind of,
oh my God. Oh, I remember it took me one whole year. And I remember it was literally like within days, I'm going to say, of a year that I had this, oh my God, suddenly it's easy. Like it snowballed just all of a sudden. So when it started out, I was so full of negative thoughts. That was basically the only thought pattern I had.
It was going on.
Was negative. Mm-hmm. Everything was negative. Everything was poor me. Everything was difficult. Mm-hmm. I was the victim. Why wasn't anybody nice to me? I took everything every person said to heart. It was very personal. Mm-hmm. So if you were having a bad day and you took it out on me in any way, that was very personal to me. It was my fault that you were feeling that way. I was responsible. All these things. And then all of a sudden shifting to this positive thing, every time I'd have that negative thought, you treating me badly, say, for example, I would then be like, it's not my fault and it's okay. I'm going to move on. Mm-hmm. And that would even just be the simplest positive thought I could have in the moment.
Right.
And then I'd have another negative one. And now at my age, I'm seeing that like what that is your past repeating itself in your head. It's habitual for you to repeat the memories you have from back there. And so now as I started to like do this work, suddenly I started thinking, and I had another epiphany recently of this moment of like, I need to go back to square one and start with that, replacing my, I want to say negative thought with a positive one, which is not even a negative thought, but replacing my past memories and behaviors with the positive future I'm creating. Mm-hmm. So staying out of that, like, this is how crappy my life is, or I'm so overwhelmed, or whatever the feeling is right now, into what I'm actually creating for myself, which is this joy, bliss, abundant, lovely life.
Right. I worked with a therapist a couple of years ago and I was complaining to her about, well, I don't want to say, but anyway, and anyway, but she taught me thought replacement. And actually us talking right now, I'm like, oh, I haven't really used that. I mean, I don't know. I try to use it like when I meditate in the morning and stuff like that, of course, but thought replacement is an actual thing that they use
every single day, constantly throughout the day. Like we have 66,000 thoughts in a day. Less than 10,000 of them are conscious thoughts that we're actually choosing to think. So when you catch one, replacing that. Mm-hmm. Right. And so it was actually one of my coaches recently who brought it up for me. And he was like, you need to stop looking at where you are, because you're trying to create this, but you just keep putting your reality back here where you are. Instead of pushing yourself forward, you're pulling yourself back. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my God, right back to where I started from 18 years ago when I started this process.
Oh, thank you for sharing all of that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So what are you, kind of fast forwarding a little bit from there? What are you currently focusing on in your career or your
Okay.
personal? Yeah.
So all of the above. Currently, I am I am single in my second half, which has been such an interesting process, let me tell you. And all by choice too. It's not like it's not like I'm like, oh, well, I can't find somebody. It's not that way. It's that I decided to really focus on growing my businesses and growing myself as a human being. Cause now my kids are out.
Mm-hmm.
Like my kids were grown by the time I hit 40 years old. So now I'm in this second half of my life of where do I go from here? And I want to be the best version of me. And what I focus on in my personal is becoming the person that I'm trying to bring into my life, all the while attracting the clients that I want to help. And, I love my purpose, like I said, is helping other people. And so being there and being the person that people can look up to and be like, she came from crap and she's not in crap anymore. How did she do it? And can I do it? And I want to help people create that.
Oh, that's awesome. That is super awesome. Okay. So let's see. So where do you see yourself going then? So now, would you agree that maybe in your second half you have a little more free time? Maybe that now you're not taking care of children, or I don't know what else. People have a lot of things that they do in the first half of their life. They don't realize they're obligated. Not obligated, but yeah. I feel like
yeah, obligated is a good word.
So now what are you going to do with that time? So I don't know. What's your next, 20-year plan? I want to hear.
So I'm excited because I have this plan even for the next 5 years, which is just going to get bigger and bigger as the 5 years progress after that. So my next 5 years is going to be, even the next 20 years is going to be more of what I've been doing for the last, say, 3 years, which is the start of my second half. I'm going to be focused on growing these businesses, and we currently have 9 locations, and I'm looking to have 100 plus locations, where we're helping thousands of people free themselves from these addictions without all their withdrawals, without like in this non-traditional, holistic way.
Yeah,
as well as I want to find the love. So LaserQuit is like this insane, unknown treatment. So it's cold laser therapy, which is low level radiation and LED light therapy. So I'm sure you're seeing like red light therapy is so good for your skin. Well, red light therapy is so good for you overall. Mm-hmm. Cold laser therapy is a combination of the red light therapy with low level radiation. What we do is we're based on like an acupuncture base, but laser penetrates further through the skin. So for example, if your finger has a meridian running through it, which it does, when you pierce the tip of it with a needle, it just tips, like just barely gets in there. It's not in there deep. And it just is enough energy pushing onto the meridian that it'll stimulate the energy to move through the meridian. When we put a laser on the tip of that, you'll actually see the laser coming through the other side of the finger. So it penetrates all the way through the meridian, creating way more release in a way shorter period of time. Now, acupuncture has been around for thousands and thousands of years. We all know how it works. My treatment is based around that, but I spent the first 5 years of the treatment in my early 30s doing these experiments on people and having them come in, and I would tell them, like, I'm going to do an experiment on you. So if you're struggling at all, give me a shout. I'll help. I'll go back to the traditional way, but I want to try something different.
Yeah.
And it turned out that my new method was working better on these people than the traditional one. And so I then started to really work with these people on, well, what doesn't work when it comes to quitting smoking or giving up your addictions? Mm-hmm. And it came down to, like, especially for smokers, we don't have the support we need. Like if you're an alcoholic or an addict, you go to a 12-step program, you have a group of people, you have accountability, you have all these different pieces.
True.
Smokers don't have that. And so I was like, I'm going to create a way that they can use me to coach them through what it is. Because, for example, someone like an addict has a sponsor, and their sponsor is there to talk their addict brain out of their addiction. And what I mean by that is an alcoholic will have a good day and convince themselves that they can have just one drink today because it's a good day. They're not drinking for the wrong reasons. They're drinking for the right reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And my best friend is one, and she'll call me and be like, we need to have a conversation because I've convinced myself I can drink just one drink today.
Right.
Right. So having a conversation with her, I'm able to talk her out of her addict brain is what I call it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And with my smokers, I do the same thing. If they're willing to usually even just reach out to me, I'm able to help them break the train of thought.
Yeah.
And then if they're really still struggling, even when they're talking to me, we talk about how the stupidity behind it, as well as the triggers that we have that are initiating it, what a habit loop looks like, and all of these different things. So we have 95% success rate for our smoking. We have 98% success rates for our drug addicts and alcoholics.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. And I love what I do. Like, I'm so incredibly passionate about it because people come back for their follow-ups and they're like, oh my God, you changed my life. I'm like, no, I helped you change your own life.
Right. Right. Oh, that's so wonderful. Well, thank you for explaining that. I'm so glad you explained that in grave detail.
Yeah.
That's really
my favorite thing ever.
Okay. I have some sentence finishers that are kind of my brand's adieu. So here we go from Meridee. So finish these sentences here. The world needs to realize that those in their second half are
just getting started, baby.
Yes. Yes.
I feel like my second half has literally been the best half. Like the first half, we struggle so hard. We're, we go to elementary school and high school and we're bullied, or even if you're the popular kid, like you struggle through these phases to get to 18.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next 2 years is, well, what am I supposed to do with my life? Which, let's be real, you're not going to figure that out for a while.
Right.
But then you spend that first, say, 20 years of your life just trying to figure it out. That's the first half of your first half.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then most of us are like, okay, so the second half of my first half is going to be having children and getting married. Except those things are probably some of the most challenging things we ever do in our lives. Having my children was the hardest thing I've ever been through. Get a puppy. Because it's like that only for like 20 years.
Oh my gosh, it is.
So for me, I feel like that first half was the hardest half of my life.
Yeah.
And once I hit 40, it was like this amazing shift into being able to be who I am and do whatever I want and finally see some of the successes I had been working so hard for the first half for.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Yes. Yes to all of that. Okay. You might have already answered this one, but here's the sentence finisher. Okay. I'd like to tell everyone in their first half to.
Oh my God. Keep working because the second half is going to be worth the first half.
Yes. I love that. Okay. And last one, hands down in my second half, I will
kick ass. I hope I'm allowed to say that.
Fine.
Oh my God. That's all I can say about that. In my second half, I am going to kick some ass.
Mm-hmm. Oh, awesome. Okay. Well, tell everyone where they can find you and follow you and that sort of thing.
Okay. So if you guys want to follow me personally, you're going to look on Instagram at happyfitmare. If you want to follow my business, it's LaserQuit_therapies_corp. Or you can check out our website at www.laserquittherapy.ca. And you can find out all about, me, my story. And that'll link you to other ways to find me.
Awesome. And we will put those in the show notes as well. So, but thank you for spelling that out.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us, Meridee, and everybody out there. Live boldly, love Caramy and Meridee.
Love you.
All right. See ya. Bye.
Bye.
Hey there. We're super excited to announce the release of our interactive journal. It's on Amazon. It's called My Second Half Chronicles Journal. You can find it if you just type that onto Amazon. It comes with several pages of discovery exercises with a bunch of journal prompts, 200 writing pages. So the owner can go through a series of exercises. They can write about their second half. They can kind of rediscover themselves, find their inner child. And it's an amazing gift book for someone who might have everything, and they're living in their second half. So check it out on Amazon. Thanks. Love you. Thank you so much for listening today. Please show some love to all of us at Second Half Chronicles by giving us a follow or subscribing, and please share an episode with a friend. It would mean the world. Until next time, live boldly, love Caramy.